All right, boss, that is the North Stand done. Oh, that is sensational, man. Honestly, right on schedule. So excited to get this over.
Stadiumi dobro jest. Už tego knaj. Pona fakt. Stadiumi aż knaj.
Damien, why is the chairs the wrong way round? Well, it's the North Stand. That's the face from the north. How is that ever what that would mean? All right, listen, I'll tell you what, just show me the pitch instead. Why is the goal frame outside of the stadium? Well, the fans are facing away, so they've got to be able to see something. Damien, I swear to God, honestly, this is the 7th time. Yo guys, it is your boy Newman here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, is the series where it brings you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. But what's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, over in Mexico, and there's been signs of alien life, as a supposed relic was shown on TV. It was E.T., and I'm not talking about extra time. Is there alien life out there? Well, yeah, we knew aliens existed already, to be honest. Little Carlos here probably gets into Mexico's starting 11 right now. Surely aliens are good at football, like, realistically. Their heads surface area means they'd be a demon from aerial duels. It worked for Vincent Kompany, so why can't it work for them? Meanwhile, I'll be watching on in pure shock as an Alien 11 vaporizes Liverpool in the Interplanetary Champions League. Speaking of the Champions League, and it's back. An absolute classic underneath the floodlights. And we kicked off with an absolute classic as Bayern faced off against United in Munich and won in a pulsating 4-3 result. Absolute chaos here, lads. But to be honest, expectations were not that high for United here. A bit rude of Google to predict the scoreline before the game even kicked off. Turns out all they need is a goalkeeper that can actually use his hands.
What are you doing, you fucking knob?
Onana was left in a heap after Bayern's first goal on the floor. Tuck him in, because he's going to sleep. For fuck's sake, man. Now's not the time to sunbathe, G. This man put in an XQC performance. KSI actually got a better rating in goal in the charity match. Do you understand how mad that is? United's goalkeeper for next season will be looking familiar.
Woo! That was me!
Onana, 1,000,000% has ADHD. He needs Subway Surfer at the bottom of the screen to actually concentrate. Either that or someone drugs test him again. Immigration officers are going to be outside his house after a 3.7 rating on SofaScore.
This is immigration enforcement.
Erik ten Hag's delighted getting an email seeing he's going to be heading to AFCON in the winter. Andre's now conceded 14 goals. That is mental.
14 Jesus is Lord. You know you can be prosecuted for that.
The streets are saying Eric's playing him out of position. But to be fair, he did take responsibility after asking to be interviewed and putting the blame on United's defeat solely down to him. He was very demanding when asking for the interview.
You don't need this as much as I do.
But to be honest, I really respect this attitude. I do genuinely hope things improve for him. I knew Bayern would have too much for United though when I saw Thomas Muller training like this. And I also knew when I saw Bruno Fernandes attempt to shot. Erik ten Hag was getting the excuses ready. But listen, we were good for about 30 minutes, you know, in the hotel room before. Nobody hit anybody, so that's a net positive for us. But there was some controversy with a VAR decision for a Christian Eriksen handball. That Christian Eriksen-Harry Kane combination struck again though. Meanwhile, United staff had to explain Christian's decision at full time.
He said sorry at half time because I thought it was in the box. And I said, no, you can't pick the ball up anywhere. You're not the goalkeeper. So,
as I mentioned, Kane got himself a goal from the penalty spot. You'd be fuming as a United fan, realistically. Let's go! He was attempting to understand Scott McTominay when the Scotsman came off the bench. Casemiro grabbed himself 2 goals here, to be fair. He tried to do it all himself, and he impressed here in Germany. He's getting himself an upgrade, a promotion to GDK. But one man not in attendance was Jdon Sancho, who was playing on pro clubs before kickoff with friend of the channel JCC. He wasn't too pleased in the FIFA main menu when John mentioned a United goal.
It's all about how am I looking the power? Play the game.
Who cares really what he's up to? I saw people complaining about it. And look, listen, things might be tough for United, but at least they're still top 4. Manchester City kicked off their defence to the Champions League with an early scare versus Red Star Belgrade. And I mean, the stats were absolutely mental. 22 shots to 1 and you're 1-0 down. My PlayStation's going out the window. Pep's halftime team talk took absolutely no prisoners. against a side sounding like one of Elon Musk's sons. Nah, but genuinely, great name and great performance from their goalkeeper who thwarted Haaland and co regularly. Erling might be a B-Tech Hoyland, you know. This man was letting off more shots than Jack Grealish on a Friday night, but unfortunately for Red Star's goalkeeper, the second half was not so great.
That was too hard. Someone's gonna get hurt.
In between the sticks at the other end, and Edison was giving Pep a heart attack. Here we have Guardiola as his goalkeeper attempted a reverse flip-flap on the halfway line. Meanwhile, penny for Calvin Phillips' thoughts. He couldn't even get a start versus a Wi-Fi password. Real Madrid with an early kick-off for the Champions League, and once again, Jude Bellingham bailed them out. Rumour has it he scored the winner for RM Castilla this weekend as well. If you play a five-a-side game anywhere in the city of Madrid, he'll turn up and score at the end. He might as well leave his arms permanently up at this point. Dude, hey, listen, it's not gonna cook itself, get me. It was difficult for Real Madrid here, I've got to say. Union Berlin put up a wall and had absolutely no interest in going forward. They defended stoutly, though their ratings were poor. These lot are gonna need a Union after this. Real trying to get through this defense in the final third, pretty much impossible. I'm pretty sure Union Berlin had their physios in defense, there was that many of them. Oh, but what that means, they've got no one in the medical department. Say no more. I do feel bad for them conceding that late goal in their first Champions League game, but wishing them the best throughout the rest of their European venture. And Real's El Clasico rivals Barcelona started their campaign with an easy win over Belgian opposition. Joao Felix enjoyed himself. It's amazing what he can do without Diego Simeone or Chelsea terrorism. He kicked out at Gavi for his celebration. You don't want to mess with that guy, man. He's always aggressive. Gavi's next challenge on him in training is gonna be concerning. Poor 43-year-old Toby Alderweireld had a tough time trying to deal with him. It's like chasing a granddad round a barbecue. It's tough times. Poor Royal Antwerp, man, they've been dethroned here, we've got to say. Antwerp's CEO is going to be devastated, realising they're getting kicked from the royal family. It's unfortunate, really. They're more like Prince Harry. Rarely in Europe and about to be peppered in the press. The Belgian state still going to get at Joao for his goals, though. Here we have him in HMP Brussels after the Belgian royal family put him in a cell.
You're under arrest.
Now, we're taking a break here to go back to the Premier League, and there was incredible drama between Tottenham and Sheffield United. Into the 97th minute, and against all odds, Tottenham were 1-0 down. But by full time, a miraculous comeback inspired by Richarlison saw them win 2-1. They flipped this one upside down, and that was just Ange Postecoglou's view. Tottenham have un-Tottenham. I can't believe this. It has to be the end of the world. Spurs fans were emotional watching on, seeing their club actually do something positive. They might as well just turn up in the 96th minute next time. Save the stamina. Emerson will still be in bed at 4 PM on Sunday. This comeback was different gravy. Or in other words, James Maddison at a family roast. James, please, I'm hungry. Get the fuck out of here. It's depression though for Sheffield United. They even allowed Richarlison to do something here. Cameron Archer was bitter about the Spurs forwards' involvement.
Big man ting when I hear that Brazil. Not even from Brazil, blood. The man there's from Harrow, blood. He's shit, bro. I fucking hate.
Tottenham might have been onto something with this tweet, you know. But shout out to Heung-min Son, Spurs captain. Richarlison's been going through some tough times, and the South Korean made sure to push him over to Spurs' fans so that he could soak in all of the glory. No glory though for United, as they held 2 L's this week, chipping 3 to Brighton.
Leave us alone!
Erik ten Hag was insisting that his club is not in crisis after spending so much in the summer. Apparently all clubs spend money, including Brighton, who just beat them with a squad worth £16 million in total. Erik, though, was still concerned whilst talking to Bruno Fernandes down on the touchline. It's been a bad week for Statement FC, truly. More statements than wins, literally, this season, as there was confirmation that Jdon Sancho will be training away from the main squad after refusing to apologise to his boss. We have exclusive footage here of him being asked in his coach's office to say sorry to the Dutchman and his backroom staff.
If you man do it first, I'll do it.
Erik himself was Googling what suck your mum means after the meeting. Meanwhile, Jdon, he's got to get into overdrive now. He'll be trying to call Marcus Rashford's PR agency to put out this fire.
You're right, Neymar, yeah, Simian.
What's he even up to now, man? He'll be in uni accommodation, celebrating the fact they've been beaten twice this week. He was watching the under-18s at Carrington. He gives me the vibe of the year 11 that's been excluded, but he's still at the school gates. Brighton TikTok was not holding back after Rasmus Højlund had a goal disallowed.
It's not totally over the line. Look at the white bits. That ball, that's a goal.
And United fans have taken this extremely badly.
I hope Brighton get relegated.
There was confusion at Arsenal, meanwhile, as an offside call prevented the Gunners taking taken the lead versus Everton, the ball deflected off Beto all the way through to Nketiah and was eventually turned in but ruled out in essence for an Arsenal back pass in their own half.
What the fucking hell's happening?
There were barely any goals on Super Sunday. Daniel Sturridge was bored in the Sky Sports studio. And that lack of goals wasn't helped by a 0-0 draw for Chelsea versus Bournemouth. Chelsea fans, to be fair, they're just happy they've got a point in their relegation fight. And the players were celebrating after with a nice Nigerian meal, though Cole Palmer hasn't quite got the taste buds for it yet.
Let me get that very plain.
For real though, Chelsea, poor result again really here. And Nicholas Jackson's miss was absolutely outrageous. Actually, no, play on. Arsenal did end up scoring the only goal of the Super Sunday with a 1-0 win. And Everton fans were not too pleased at full time.
That bad, lads. I'm lighting a ciggy up now, hoping to get kicked out.
Arsenal won in Europe too with a simple 4-0 victory over PSV. After many joyous years with Arsenal, the Europa League was feeling very left out. The last time Arsenal were in the Champions League, Mbappe was -5. Here we have the players trying to actually remember the words for the Champions League anthem. Meanwhile, the Arsenal squad was overjoyed thinking they'd beaten PSG until they realised it was actually PSV. Elsewhere in Europe, Newcastle made a return versus Milan. Their fans were in high spirits at the Italian city's canal. Meanwhile, Sandro Tonali's just overjoyed, back eating Italian food after months of Greggs. He actually hates Newcastle already. He was quoted saying that he's already not ruling out a move back to AC Milan. This is straight out of the Lukaku playbook, mate. And he's struggling to cope on his Facebook profile as well. One man who was smiling though, Jacob Murphy. Very wholesome stuff as he heard the Champions League anthem and played, of course, in the competition for the first time. He's at home as we speak, deciding whether to replay the Champions League music for a 17th time this evening.
Yes.
And in the end, it was a 0-0 draw. Given how Newcastle played, honestly, not a bad result. Liverpool played in the Champions League 2.0 on the Thursday night. That was a bit weird. I don't know why we were playing on a different day. Our European anthem sounds a lot different, I'm not gonna lie. We were 1-0 down to Lask from Austria until the cavalry arrived and brought it back to 3-1. All I'm saying is, by the way, Darwin Núñez outdone Lionel Messi's Europa League goal-scoring record in just one match.
Darwin Núñez.
In Italy, and Lazio's goalkeeper scored a stoppage-time equaliser to rescue a draw against Atletico Madrid. Dramatic stuff, and actually the second time he scored a goal after scoring in the second division back in 2020. Shout out to Providel, the celebrations were wild as well, and the fans are seeing him as a hero already, with one supporter getting a tattoo to commemorate the unlikely goal. There was drama between Galatasaray and Copenhagen as Turkish fans let off fireworks outside of Copenhagen's hotel room. And seemingly it worked, because the Danish side fell asleep at the death, giving away a 2-goal lead to draw 2-2. Their goalkeeper Kamil Grabara posted on Instagram branding Galatasaray a shithole and saying that his side deserved to take all 3 points.
Knew I could do it. Get me out of this shit.
Meanwhile, elsewhere in that match, an Oscar Højlund made his debut. You might recognise the name. He's the brother of Rasmus. Both of them made their Champions League debut on the same night. Wasn't such a great day though for Celtic supporters, who went down to 9 men and lost 2-0. Brendan Rodgers looked worse for wear. Back in the Premier League, and Mikhailo Mudryk has got an interesting pose for his squad starting lineup. This guy's just finished top boy, innit? He's got more seasons watched than goals and assists this campaign. Meanwhile, Todd Boehly wants his money back from Shakhtar's CEO, but the Ukrainian isn't interested.
You fucking still going on about that?
Manchester City announced Kyle Walker's contract extension in a beautiful manner.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving!
Jack Grealish back on the drinks just to celebrate the news. Before Liverpool's victory over Wolves, and Peter Crouch wanted to show off his football capabilities and show that he's not lost his touch after retiring from the beautiful game.
Go on, Crouchy. Oh my God!
I wished I was just a normal freaking height.
Yeah, listen, he's out for 3 weeks. Somebody get the stretcher out. Kaoru Mitoma was nominated for Goal of the Month after his beautiful solo effort versus Wolves. And in Brighton's tweet, they mentioned that he's actually a Taylor Swift fan after the devastating results of Alejandro Balde, confirming he doesn't like the American music artist recently. Clearly, it worked. Taylor Swift fans must have voted because he did win Goal of the Month. FC 24's out, and pack openings are catching out speed.
Oh my God! What the fuck? Is
that a girl?
Martial's getting caught out by his own calendar, accidentally turning up to training too early and having to go back home. But listen, I rate the attitude, but United are relying on a man for goals who can't even organise his own schedule. 777 investors are planning to take over Everton. That seems like too many investors, really, to have in one room. But look, listen, each to their own. Meanwhile, Leicester striker Jamie Vardy took to a stage this week, and he took to that stage purely to roast Tottenham for no reason. Someone get the WKDs out. It's a shithousery award for the Foxes, man. Now, over in France, and both Mbappes are in the same matchday squad for the first time to face OGC Nice. The Super Mbappe bros. Kylian's going to be a little bit confused when he sees his name on the team sheet twice, and would have been even more frustrated with him if Ethan had come on and missed a sitter.
Ethan, once this game is done, you're going to realise you're a donut. This fucking fat old prick.
Meanwhile, imagine if you're OGC Nice, man. Dealing with one Mbappe is bad enough, let alone his entire extended family charging at you straight from the family barbecue. Over at Strasbourg, and fans can never be too young to dish out a little bit of abuse to opponents. In Italy, and Inter slapped AC Milan in a derby this week. AC hasn't been rinsed this much since the last Glaswegian to go to Spain.
Oh, jeezy pips, man.
Rafael Leao looked a shadow of his former self in this one and was interviewed after the game. Despite his goal, he was absolutely crestfallen.
Thoughts on your performance so far?
Henrik Mkhitaryan scored a brace in this one. How old is he at this point? Ruben Loftus-Cheek was just surprised to see him again, to be honest, in the tunnel.
I can't believe it. Someone said he was dead.
If you're AC Milan, you must be fuming. Mkhitaryan has cooked against you with a receding hairline. One young Inter Milan mascot made sure everybody watching knew just who he supported. Another fan was seen on the streets of Milan wearing a unique shirt to remind his rivals just what the scoreline was. Meanwhile, Denzel Dumfries celebrated Marcus Thuram's goal in style, but must have put his back out, to be honest with you, confirming that he was a little bit heavy to pick up. Meanwhile, at Juventus, and one fan has had to get a little bit creative in hiding Paul Pogba's name after his failed doping test.
Referee from Norway.
Maybe it's drugs plus Pogba, or maybe it's Dr. Ogba, who knows? Right, listen, I'm prescribing you performance enhancers. Are you sure you're allowed to do that, Paul? Or in Germany, and Leverkusen drew in a 94th minute goal versus Bayern Munich to remain top of the table. They are the real Bayern. Listen, all I'm saying is Bayern Munich not top of the Bundesliga for once, whilst Harry Kane plays for them. Coincidence? I think not. Poor Alphonso Davies has just realised his club is cursed for the next 11 years. Meanwhile, Bayer Leverkusen even tweeted their forward Victor Boniface with a fan in the form of Harold. Yeah, Hauser award, whatever. Staying in Germany though, and Julian Nagelsmann is the new Germany boss. He'll be skateboarding into work, then seeing Antonio Rudiger training, and skateboarding straight back out. Poor Kai Havertz will be watching Germany games from the dinner table after Julian drops him. And over at Schalke, their famous beer-carrying supporter is back at it again. Barcelona won 5-0 twice this week, also claiming the same scoreline in a victory over Real Betis. So Barca's graphics design department had a bit of a mare, accidentally including Ronaldo and Ansu Fati as goal scorers for Betis. I don't really know how this has happened, to be honest with you. Clearly, Ansu Fati's somewhere in the admin room trying to pad his statistics out. Meanwhile, at Las Palmas, they were forced to deal with a bizarre issue before their match against Sevilla on Sunday, when 17 players in their squad missed their flight to the game after leaving to go and get a coffee and then only returning after check-in had closed. Now though, it's time for your goals of the week. And we start off with Austrian outfit Sturmgras, where Otar Kiteshvili has picked up the ball after a set piece and rocketed it in off the crossbar. Just anything that hits the underside of the bar and bounces in is just immediately the most satisfying of all strikes. At Avro FC up in Oldham, and they thought they'd scored directly from a corner. They thought the ball was over the line after being poured out by the opponent's goalkeeper, and whilst they were complaining, Kane Woolwork decided to take matters into his own hands. And finally, we've got a genuine Puskás contender here, and it comes from Albania, where Fernando Medeiros has controlled the ball, flicked it up in the air, and then volleyed it into the far corner. This technique is absolutely disgusting. It needs a nomination. Over in Saudi Arabia, and officials there are apparently trying to get Cristiano Ronaldo to appear for a WWE event taking place in the country. This guy's already had more than enough practice at WWE, mate. Just imagine the scenes when he gets himself onto the canvas. Big Ron is going to be a completely different man after 20 minutes of wrestling training. Well, listen, maybe we could get a little Ronaldo versus Messi WWE SmackDown. Who am I kidding, man? Leo can't even reach the ring. Speaking of Leo, he was substituted early in their latest MLS match, coming off injured before half-time.
Is he walking away from the job?
And to be honest, he deserved it for posting this pizza on his Insta. That is an Italian hate crime. I don't care. He had it coming. He did have time to take a picture before the game kicked off, though his bodyguard is always watching. And Elsewhere was filmed in a bizarre shoot with a comedian who got a little bit up close and personal with the Argentine.
Charlamos un ratito, bebé.
Don't do that when his bodyguard's not there, because he's going to have to lips him now as well. At Al Ittihad now, and Karim Benzema was clean through on goal.
Have a fucking word with him then, Rat!
And at Al Hilal, they were losing to a club from Uzbekistan until the 10th minute of injury time, where Neymar rescued them a draw. But he was involved in some drama beforehand, pushing a player from the Uzbeki side onto the floor and then launching the ball at him. Somehow, he wasn't red carded, and obviously to add insult to injury, he then scored. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now over in Honduras, and we might have the worst tackle of all time. This might be the most nailed on red card in football history. That's a double homicide, mate, not a challenge. In Mexico, and there was a crazy own goal in their Premier Division. As a ball is launched forward and under absolutely no pressure whatsoever, a defender has sliced it in from outside the area into the top corner. I mean, it's a great finish for what it's worth. In the Albanian second division now, and the own goals keep coming. This time, directly from a penalty in a promotion battle. El Bassani are playing against Vora here, and the keeper looks like he saved it until he chucks the ball into his own net. Yeah, someone check his William Hill account, mate.
Match fixed. Right now. Listen and learn. Yo, I'm like draw for the tool. Go on and think I'm a fool. Go on and draw for the mash.
In the US now, and women's footballer Zoe Mahoney scored directly from an acrobatic flip throw-in. This easily the most unique goal of the year so far, as it drifted all the way in. Though in the Dutch Women's League, and Ajax got themselves a very fortunate goal. As a ball looped up into the air, the opponent's goalkeeper thought it was going over, so threw a different football onto the pitch, only for the actual one to dip underneath her crossbar. Look, she just wanted to make things harder for herself and have to deal with two balls at the same time. That sounds crazy. That can't run. Sorry. On an unnamed construction site somewhere across the globe. Right, so that's the reason you put the seats the wrong way round then, innit, realistically. Meanwhile, India announced their latest squad for international duty and placed only 2 defenders in it. Look, listen, I respect the optimism, alright? Closer to home, and Bristol City beat Plymouth Argyle this week and celebrated with this video of Plymouth supporting Pie Face. Yeah, it's a shithousery award. You didn't have to do my boy Pie like that, man. Come on. At Leicester now, and they defeated Southampton in the week, but there was some vile, disgusting abuse coming from their end of the stands. Speaking of Southampton, and they love a 9-0 result. Thankfully, they weren't on the receiving end this time. That award goes to Exeter City, who were dismantled by Reading. Meanwhile, at Yate Town, and down in the Southern League Division 1 South, they had an interesting request from a girl who wanted to film OnlyFans custom content in their ground on match day. Look, listen, man, I don't know how to explain this either, but she DM'd Yate Town's account asking for permission to actually do this. And yeah, honestly, it's disgraceful behavior, to be honest with you. If someone could source her name and to be honest, so that I can avoid this individual in the future. In Sweden and at Osters, there was another goalkeeper scoring this week. Think about Milorad Prekovic, who scored in the 96th minute to earn his side a draw. In South Korea and in the K-League, I feel like, again, should be looking to postpone a game where supporters are going to have to swim home. That's just my constructive criticism, you know. Them OnlyFans models are getting everywhere, trust me. At Boca Juniors, and their sound engineer decided to play Among Us halfway through a game that they were playing this week.
Va cayendo la tarde.
Decilo.
En Santiago. Mancilla. Saltaba en la Valentini. Valdés, Ceballos.
One bus driver's enjoying the view he's getting over in Japan. The side's heat map is looking a little bit suspect though, I'm not gonna lie, for the second half. Faroese side KI won again this week and scored about 10 minutes from time. The only problem is their admin missed a goal because he had to go to the toilet. At Fortaleza in Brazil, and we've got a unique banner flying from the sky. Just someone's printed off a character from The Simpsons basically and just dropped it on the pitch, because why not? At Hearts' women's side, they've got some serious energy for their latest goal scorer.
What's it say? What? You love me.
I can easily wash it off and
over in Oceania, shout out the Marshall Islands. We're the last country in the world to not have a national team, a national football team. Well, they finally managed to get one together and they've released their first shirt ever this week, and it is an absolute stunner. Now though, it's time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where it brings you the best of Sunday League and amateur football, and this time we're heading all the way over to Mexico, I believe. That's what the comments said, I don't know for sure. But either way, no matter what level of their game, and you want your referees and your assistants to be on the ball, to be making sure they're making the right decisions at the right time. Nah, she fucked that, mate. Just get the drinks in, to be honest with you. It's a good job he's not working in the VAR room, to be honest. On to the weird stuff, though, now. First of all, there is the crazy journey of AS Saint-Pierre. We're traveling from an island just off the coast of Canada for a French Cup game. Yeah, this kind of happens in the French Cup, like, every year. There's a few islands, like, dotted around the world that still kind of belong to France. This is the case near Canada for this side. They're traveling to the mainland about 7,000 miles for a cup match. Over in the Czech Republic, and a 22-year-old student is going to be making his debut for club side FK Ústí nad Labem. Now, the only difference for the signing is he's never played any football before, and he only got the gig at the third tier side after his dad paid them 17 grand for 10 minutes of playing time. And finally, there is an absolutely mental story coming from Montreal. Matt Komievich was playing for Montreal Impact, an MLS side, and was frustrated after not getting enough game time. He decided to apply for a Montreal local amateur league under a fake name just so he could get some actual playing time under his belt. Now, obviously, this is not legal, but nobody noticed until, that is, he punched another amateur player in the face and got himself red carded and banned. Following on from this, unsurprisingly, Montreal Impact have decided to terminate his contract, and now he's banned from playing for amateur clubs, and he doesn't have a club professionally either. Moral of the story, if you're gonna do that, change your appearance as well. That's probably not the moral of the story, actually. That, though, is gonna wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at the official FNG on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.